Hello, Dolphin fans. Thank you for coming on the Miami Dolphins Mode channel. Today, we're going to talk about the quarterback competition between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen. Also, we're going to touch up a little bit on Jake Ruddock, the third string QB that's also part of the QB room. Okay? So let's get right into it, man. The QB competition is up and running right now. It's been a big deal since the draft, right? Because we got Fitzpatrick first in the free agency, then in the draft we got Rosen in the second round. So since then it's been a big discussion: is Rosen going to beat out Fitzpatrick? Is Fitzpatrick going to beat out Rosen? And so on. As of right now, the person that is in the lead is the person that we're going to talk about first is Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right. If you don't know too much about Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's been in the league for quite a while. He's gone on a few different teams. I believe it's about 8 teams that he's been on. And the reputation that he has is that on certain games he's amazing, he's great, and then he follows it up with just being the worst. So there's really with Fitzpatrick, there's no middle. When he plays, it's either really great or really horrible. So he goes to the furthest extent on both sides, right? So he's the one winning right now, and I somewhat expected it in the beginning, especially because of how many offensive systems he's played in. So he's used to switching up coordinators, switching up the play calling or the playbook, right? And he's just used to that, and he is a smart individual. I mean, he went to I think it's Harvard or Stanford, and he's just he's a smart individual. But so is Josh Rosen. But right now we're talking about Fitzpatrick. So I thought that because of the experience that he has, and he does. There's a reason why he's been in the NFL for so long. He does have a good ball when he throws it. Just he has horrible ones too. So right now that's where it's at. He is, you could call him a gunslinger, right? He throws the ball up there, and he gives the guys a chance, but sometimes he just makes the boneheaded plays, and that's pretty much what it is. I believe with Fitzpatrick, what's going to happen is that just like what always happens with Tampa Bay. Last year is he starts off great, and he's okay for the beginning, but then he just hands in some performances that just make you scratch your head, really that bad, so it always opens up the question of, should we start the other guy, right? And that's his biggest thing, because if he would have been able to be consistent, right? Which is his main deal. He's not consistent, right? He probably would have played more games, right? But the only thing basically you could hope for is that he would have a season like he had with the Jets when he had Brandon Marshall and Jordy Nelson, which was one of his best years, right? And not make many mistakes. I mean, the offense is created in a way where it's not all about one player. So I'm thinking that that'll benefit him, because he won't be the one that has to win the game. It's not all on his arm, and they do want to be a running team. So it'll help him. I think that if he does win out, because still he hasn't won it out, but he's just in the front running right now. So if he does win it out and he continues to be the same, then he'll be able to stay on there for a few more games at the very least, But now the thing is, after they said that he was the front runner, right, in the competition, he had 2 straight bad practices, worse practices than Rosen. All right, and it's not the first time that has happened before. Well, you saw when he was in that great season that he had, his best season that he had with the Jets. They gave him an extension, a contract, a large contract. I think it was about $16 million. That they gave him, and the next year he was just nowhere close to what he was the year before, and that's the biggest thing with him, the consistency. So if he continues to play out and Josh Rosen continues to improve, that might create a situation there. All right. So I mean, it's still open. Doesn't mean just because they said that he was ahead of him in the competition doesn't mean that that's going to be the final verdict. Especially after having two bad practices. After having two bad practices, now Josh Rosen might be closer. Because he did have a couple. His practices weren't great, but they were better than Fitzpatrick's, right? So it comes back to what I was saying before. It just makes you scratch your head, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about Josh Rosen now. All right, Josh Rosen, you all know that last year, not this past draft, but the draft before, he was selected in the first round, 10th overall pick, right? He did not have a good season with the Cardinals. You've heard that the Cardinals were just not a good team. Their offensive line was horrible. And this may be a few things that you've heard that, they're not excuses, but they're definitely something to think about with Josh Rosen's performance in his rookie year, right? But remember, he's coming to Miami. They were the rest. They were the worst O line in the NFL. But right in front of them, they were the 32nd worst, and the 31st worst was our O line. All right, so it's going to be the same story, right? On paper, right? From last year to this year. So, if he looked like that with that bad offensive line, you could say that he could look about the same with our offensive line because we really haven't improved. In fact, we lost Jawan James, so we have gone down. But I think the offensive line, even though I think the offensive line is going to be somewhat better, not because of anything, it's just because we were 31st, so there's not, it's not too hard to improve when you're one of the worst, right? But, and Josh Rosen, he's completed a few good passes. He does have that nice spiral when he throws the ball. His balls are nice. They're NFL throws, right? But he still throws interceptions. He's a gunslinger too. Him and Fitzpatrick, they're both gunslingers, right? Sometimes what their biggest thing is, they try to do too much instead of throwing away the ball. Sometimes, you don't throw away the ball all the time, but there's certain times that you just got to throw it away, and then live to play another down. And it's difficult. It seems that it's difficult for Rosen to do, right? He wants, and this goes back to UCLA when he was there. That's the one thing that they said when he was coming out of the draft. He tries to play too much hero ball. That's what they call it, right? He just tries to make something out of nothing too many times, right? And that would have to be something that he would have to work on, right? Josh Rosen, just like Fitzpatrick, is a smart individual, right? There's a very smart room that goes in there, that is in there, and I'm somewhat, to be honest with you, I'm somewhat surprised that he isn't more, he isn't closer in the competition, being a 10th overall pick. Being a 10th overall pick, you should be able to beat out the Ryan Fitzpatrick, right, or a quarterback like him that has mostly been a backup throughout his career. I mean, he started, but it was because of injuries, and then of course that season that he had, that was a great one, right? So I mean, if you're a 10th overall pick, they expect you to be able to beat out a guy like that, right? So I'm a little you could say frustrated that he isn't more close. He isn't closer in the competition right now. But he has shown some good things, but he has got an intercepted in training camp. So but you could say that he's more consistent than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, so if you want to put something good, he could be more. He's more consistent than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like that. So if it could go from there and improve, then he should be able to beat out Fitzpatrick when the season starts. I mean, once the preseason games go on, that's when you're gonna know more, right? Because you're playing with your own against your own team, and when the football games start, and it's live, that's when things may change. That's when you're really gonna know, right? When it's not your own DBs covering the same receivers, which they pretty much know each other because they practice with each other all the time, right? And they get to see Rosen and Fitzpatrick a little more because that's who they practice with, right? And things of that nature. But I believe that right now, I'm going to put it out there that I believe that Josh Rosen will be the starter of the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if it's going to be in the beginning. I don't know if it's going to be halfway. I don't know. But I expect Rosen to be the starter of the Miami Dolphins when the season comes. All right. And he has the ability to make some throws, which really good. They're really good. So that's what it is right now. It's what it is right now as far as the competition goes and all that. And then let's talk a little bit about Jake Rada. Jake Rada came from Michigan. The Wolverines. He was the backup quarterback over there at Detroit, and then we got him from. That's when we got him from. Right. That was the last team he was on. He's a pretty good quarterback. He's a smart quarterback as well. So it's just, like I say, it's a smart quarterback room. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he is pretty accurate with the ball. More you can say he's more of a game manager type of player, right? But he is a good third string. I think that he would be a good third string quarterback. All right, that's just to mention him. He's also there as well, and we'll see him in the preseason. Okay, well, I'm pretty much gonna stop now. That's pretty much it for the quarterback competition. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below, and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. Or if there's anything that you might want to talk about, just let me know down below. Okay, and if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it up. I'm going to be coming up with new videos pretty soon. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a good day. Go Dolphins.